Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vineyard podcast. I'm your host, Rodrigo, Honorato, and today we're going to be talking about what is our purpose here on our podcast, why we do these interviews, and also we're going to be talking about a little bit about my life. You might be asking yourself, well, why do we want to know about you, Rod? Well, the reason why I'm going to be talking about me today is because I think it's important for people to know who I am. They might know who the people I'm interviewing. They might already know them or know their story, but they might not know who I am exactly in my story. So I believe everyone has a story to tell. And that's the purpose of our podcast. Uh, I strongly believe that everyone has a unique story. Might be similar to a lot to other people's. Might have gone through same situations in life, but everyone's unique. And so I think it's important for us to create a platform here in the Vineyard because we have so many different cultures. Whether if it's the Brazilian community or Jamaican or Serbian or for wherever. I like to learn about other people and get to know other people. And so I think it's important to have a platform so people can tell their story. We live in such a small community. It's so big at the same time that you might be working with someone, or you have collaborated or worked with someone, or just, you know, been at events, or just, you know, might know someone, and but you don't know their story. You don't know how they came to America, or if they lived here for many years, and this is the first time you're seeing them. It's a small island but big at the same time. And I think it's very important for us to learn about each other and talk to one another and learn each other's stories. So it's a basic purpose, but I think it unites the island, the communities together, and you get to learn about different people. So I think it's a great idea, and I've been getting a lot of feedback and asking, when are you gonna interview this person and that person, and it's hard. It's hard to get people to come in. It's not easy to, especially now because it's summer. Everyone's working, everyone's on that grind, and so am I. Right now, I work at community services, and I'm a family support worker. I provide resources throughout the island for families that have children from 0 to 18. And so, and in the Brazilian community and just in the community in general. And other than that, I also, am a soccer trainer. I in the summer I have a little soccer gig that I have summer clients that have kids that bring their vacation here, obviously, and kids that are interested in soccer and want to participate in a session or two throughout the week or three times or even every day. I have a couple clients that I train one-on-one sessions, or I collaborate with other clients and have a group of kids all at once, and do soccer training. Very passionate about soccer. Soccer has always been, my passion. And with that being said, I think I see a lot of people in the community, and, just by working at community services, and I hear all these stories. So I'm like, wow, like, I wonder, like, other people's stories. So I try to get other people to come here. But, like I said, it's summer. I'm busy. Everyone's busy. And also, other than the training, I do online school right now, through the Vision Fellowship program. I got a 2-year program scholarship to go to online school so I can get my social work degree, so I can become a social worker and help more in the community. So, pretty crazy schedule, but I'm managing. I'm getting by. Got a lot of support from families and my supervisor. But with that being said, let me bring it back. Let me rewind a little bit. That's what I'm going through right now. But you know, like I said, the whole purpose is to get people throughout the community And, I've had Elio from Vineyard Grocers here, had Bruno from B&B Home Improvements. I had John Marcall with, another carpenter, a carpentry business, Beyond Measures. And, just, they might be known. Some of you might know them. Some of you might not know them. But um, the more people, the better. I'm willing to interview anyone. And again, it's just a platform so people can tell their story, and get to know, like, oh, I didn't know about that about Elio, or I didn't know about that about, so and so and so. So, um, the reason why I relate to a lot of these interviews and the Brazilian community, the Brazilian interviews that I've done, um, my parents, these people, the Brazilian, a lot of the Brazilians and the Brazilian community, they came here for a better life, a better opportunity, um, and maybe they had plans to stay here 2 years, and then it became 5 years, then it became 10 years, and I can relate to that, or at least my parents can relate to that, and I can too. I should say, because if it weren't for my parents, I wouldn't be here. So they came here right after 1985, around there. And, their plan was to stay here 5 years. And back then, there was like not a lot of Brazilians here. It was probably like 12. That's what my parents say. And they stayed here. They applied for their work visa to get their green card. And that's how they got their green card and was able to go back and forth, and see our family back in Brazil. Then 1994, I was born, and that's when my parents were like, okay, like, we'll stay another 5 years, and then it became 10 years and 15 years, and they're still here until this day. So, um, so being born here totally changed my parents' plan, um, and you know being the only American in the family until my one of my cousins was born here too, but she moved back to Brazil. But being like the first American born, like, it was a lot of attention. I had a lot of attention in the family. Like, I was like the chosen one. I was the one that was gonna go to college, and all these plans, and that my mom would say, and I'm like, I always had that pressure throughout my whole life. At a very young age, I was always translating for my parents, and my parents would get me to translate. Would make me translate for like friends and family, whether it's at the hospital or school. And my parents were very, you know, like very well known in the community because they've been here for so long, and they looking back at it, they wanted to be helping everyone, and they helped a lot of friends and family come here, from Brazil, uh, and I think it's just in their nature. It's just, they want to be able to help others because they've gone through a lot of the struggle for, like, on the immigrant side of things, not knowing resources, not knowing the language. So they would try to always be involved and help people throughout the community. And so I think I got a lot of that from them. In school, I would translate, for always like the new kid coming in that didn't know English. And I would love it because I would be able to skip class and show him throughout the whole day, the whole school, and do like 2 or 3 gyms with different grades. Like, it was awesome. That was just like for the first couple of days. But it was, so I learned that with them. I should say, I was very privileged, and my mom always made me aware of that. um I didn't they came here to give me a better life. And so I would notice, like, how we've been here for a little bit longer than a lot of the families that we knew back then. um and so, like, we were in like a different level, I should say. I don't know how to explain it. Like, we weren't struggling. Like, we were comfortable. We had like cars, like we had insurance, like we were settled. And so you would see the struggle for a lot of families that would come, and it's just like today, it's no different. um and so, talking about like my experience, like growing up here, on the Vineyard, I always knew that this was like paradise. But then once I started going to Brazil and like starting to remember Brazil, I remember like when I went to Brazil and like I wouldn't want to come back. It was just two different lifestyles. Kids like were playing all day, like all day. Like you couldn't. There was no way you couldn't say there was nothing to do. There was, tag and freeze tag and you know robber and police, which is like another type of tag, or like playing soccer in the streets every day. Like I wouldn't have any toes at the end of the day, or toenails. Um, and it was just amazing. And then like once being like at the farm, seeing grandma and like my mom's side of the family, like oh my god, like I wouldn't want to ever leave. It was always, and it was a struggle because I would only be able to stay a week or two because I was in school at that time. So if I missed too much of school, that I would have to like do summer school, or I would have to repeat the grade, and I didn't want to ever do that. So my dad would be able to, since they had their green card, my dad would be able to go from like November until April, and he still does that to this day. And my mom would be the one not stuck with me, but like we would have to stay here because she is a house cleaner, and she would have work throughout the whole winter. She worked for herself, and my dad, he was a landscaper. He still is. So his work by the end of November, he doesn't really have that much work. So he just goes back to Brazil and works on the farm there. So it's not really a vacation. They go back and they invested in a lot of money like into farming, into the farms. So they buy cattle and sell cattle, and they sell their dairy as well. So it's a lot of work to maintain a farm like that. So that's why he's always going back and forth. He stays like 6 months here, 6 months there, and I can't blame the guy that I'm trying to do that right now, and I have just work in the summer here and be able to go back whenever you want, and yeah, at the end of the year and just stay 6 months there. It's really living the dream right there. But now my mom can do that. After I graduated high school, actually, I should say like after I turned like 15, 16, after I came back from Brazil, which I'm going to get to right now, my mom was able to go and stay longer because I was old enough to stay home alone, and, or stay at my aunt's and go to school. But going back a little bit, growing up here, it was amazing. I really felt the difference, the cultural shock, like how different Brazil and America was. And, I would love Brazil. Every time I went, like I said, great food, just playing all the time with friends, being outdoors every day. Remember that, guys? Remember like being outdoors? Remember what that was like? Like, oh my god, like now like there's a whole new generation now. Like they're missing out, on these things, and now it's all tablets and video games, and I'm always inside too now playing video games. But anyway, not trying to go down a tangent here, but it was good. It was amazing growing up here. And high school, was soccer was all I really wanted to do. So growing up here, all I really did was soccer with my friends. I had always like a clique of friends that were all Brazilian, and all we used to do was like play soccer. But throughout my childhood, when I was young, my mom always and my dad always taught me like at a very young age that like if we want to have things, we have to work for it. So my parents always taught me like discipline, and how to work if you want to have good things, you got to work hard for it. And so my parents always brought me to work at a very young age and had me doing chores around the house. And so I was always that, taught that. And I'm very grateful for that because, it really helps you mature, and want to, like, when you're older, to be working. So, I was like landscaping and like house cleaning with my parents throughout the summer. They wouldn't really pay me, but they would get me whatever really I wanted. Until a certain age, they started paying me. But my parents worked a lot from like my whole life until this day. All they do is work, 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 work. So they never were really at soccer games, like at travel soccer games or high school soccer games. They never really attended any of those games. But then and soccer was like all I wanted. But like I understood why they wouldn't be able to go. I mean, they would be able to, but like because they have so much bills and this and that and that, and they were trying to work as much as possible. Um, they went and just wouldn't be able to make those games. So but at the end of the day, like I knew if I needed cleats, they would buy cleats. If I wanted a new video game or whatever, they would go and buy, or clothes or shoes. And if I wanted money to go out, they would always provide it. So I always understood at a very young age, like why my parents couldn't show up to things. Um, and then yeah, like soccer was always what I wanted to do. I always knew that. So at 15, I went to Brazil with a good friend of mine, John. Shout out to you, John. And his dad took us to Brazil one summer for us to do tryouts, and it was the best experience of my life. Played soccer, did a couple tryouts, didn't pass, and then one of my last tryouts, at Cruzeiro, there was a shit ton of people. There's a lot of people doing tryouts, and then I was the fifth one to be chosen. And I stayed there for a year at the club. It was the best experience of my life. And I wasn't going to school, so I stayed my sophomore year basically without going to school. I had just finished my freshman year and I went to Brazil. And then I stayed that whole school year until the next year without going to school. And while I was in Brazil, the reason why I didn't go to school is because I didn't have my transcripts here. I was the one thing I didn't bring. I didn't think about bringing because I didn't really know how the system worked in Brazil. So at the club, like I wouldn't be able to travel with the squad to go play like games or tournaments. Throughout that year, my my group of kid of my group that I was in went to Ghana, and they played a tournament there for 1 week, and I like they were from the videos and pictures I saw, it looked amazing. It looked so much fun, but I got to practice with the older squad, which was very intense. Like I was the skinniest, the smallest. These cats, they were all like saying that they're 18, but like they were not 18. They were probably like 20 something years old. And saying, or yeah, they were saying that they're 16. They were probably like 18, 19 years old. So like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, there's no way you're 18. Like these guys are huge and strong. And I was like, what are these guys eating? But it's just years of training, Cruzeiro was awesome. It's in Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais in Brazil. So that once the reason why I came back is because I was supposed to grab my transcripts here and then go back to Brazil. But once I got here, I was like, man, I miss my family. I miss my friends. Like, I don't want to go back, Mom. And my mom was very upset with me. But I gained a lot of experience. I matured a lot from that. And it helped me be motivated to try soccer here. And so I went in my senior year, didn't really think about college until my senior year. And the only reason why I went to college is because I wanted to play soccer. So I went to Dean College. I applied to them, did a tryout, and I graduated early. So, which means I graduated in December of 2012. And then that means I didn't have to go to school from January until June or May, whatever, until graduation. So I was working that period. But Um, at first in December, right when my last day of school, going into Christmas, I went to Brazil with my mom. Stayed about a month and a half there. When I went to Brazil, I had already applied to Dean College, and I reached out to the coach asking about tryouts, and I sent him my video, and he was like, "I want you at a tryout on whatever the 18th of February or something like that." And that's exactly what I did. I went like a week before he replied to me like a week before the tryout, saying that there was a tryout that day. So I had to change my flight because my I was only gonna come back in March. So I had to change my flight back to like a week before, or like the next day after I saw the email. The next day I had a flight already changed, and I got back here. I told my uncle that I had no money. I had, needed to make it to this tryout for at Gillette Stadium, and I went there. Uh, he picked me up at the boat. He was like, "I got you. Don't worry. I'll take you there and I'll bring you back." So he picked me up the day before. I slept at his house that morning. We got in his truck, went to Gillette Stadium, and we did a tryout. And it was mixed. It was all mixed. It was like the starting 11 for the Dean College and the reserve squad mixed. Everyone mixed up together with the people wanting to try out, and there were some decent players there. And I was on the black team, and it was like black, yellow, red, and blue. And I was on the black team, and my first game I played like left back, a position that I don't really regularly play, but I was always attacking. And I scored a goal, and then we that game ended. The second game went and played the another up. Now I played up front on the wing, and he this uh, Yannick, he turned around, this midfielder got the ball, turned around, and I crossed through like the back of the forward defenders, and he just by my scream, like, "Yo, like pass!" Like he already turned around and like did a no look pass, like giving me a through ball. I got the ball 1-on-1 with the goalie, just put it on the side of the goalie and put it in the back of the net. So immediately right after that, the tryout was over. Coach came up to me. He said he would call me. Then 10 minutes later, I was like already on the highway coming back to the Vineyard, and the coach emailed me, and then I didn't like see it, but then he went and texted me saying like, "We want you, like we're going to give you a scholarship," which made my day. So came back, I started working doing HVAC, and that was like my on and off gig throughout my college years. And then I went to Dean College, killed it the first season. My second season was amazing. And then when I got to my December of 2014 going into 2015, my grandma was very sick, and my mom's mom. And so I had money I was trying to transfer schools because this Dean College is only a 2-year college for sports. So I was trying to transfer to Stonehill. I did a tryout at Stonehill. Coach Red, shout out to you, Coach. He I sent him my highlight videos throughout my college season and my high school season. And he said he wanted me to do a tryout. Did a tryout. He wanted me on the team. Told me he couldn't give me that much money for scholarship, but luckily enough, I had money saved up for that second semester, January to June. So I had enough to pay for that semester to be able to transfer with that scholarship. And but my grandma was passing away, so my mom was freaking out. It was out of the blue, and so I did the right thing. I told mom, I was like, "Mom, listen, college isn't gonna go anywhere. I can always play soccer, whatever. Don't worry. Go see grandma." So she took the money, bought the plane ticket. That money, the dollar's worth more in real in Brazil, so that money would help pay medical bills and whatever she needed to pay. So I came back to the Vineyard, and I started doing HVAC, and my grandma eventually passed away. And after she passed away, I thought it would be a good idea to lighten up, the morale once my parents came back, and then see a puppy. So I went and got a puppy. Always wanted to have a dog, never had the chance to have one. So my parents got a dog. I got a dog, and then it was an all white husky. He was 3 months old already when I got him, and he was 1 year old. 3 months old, and then I stayed with him for 1 year. He had blue eyes. He was amazing. Parents at first were not about it, and like the next day they were in love with the dog. So a year later goes by, 2015 going to 2016. My, you know, my house burnt down in February of 2016. That's and Beamer, my dog, was inside the house. I got home. I was doing still HVAC at the time, and I got home, opened the door, smoke coming out, and immediately, I was like, my dog's dead. So I closed the door, seeing all that smoke come out. I closed the door, run downstairs, tell the family downstairs, hey, house is catching on fire. You got to get out. That she gets her and her kids out and her husband. I run back upstairs. Meanwhile, I already have the police on the phone, and they're telling me not to go back inside to look for Beamer. Astro's the dog that I have now. And so I went and, I'm going to look for him. I'm going to try, you know what I mean? Because I'm going to regret it later if I don't try, so that's all I could think about. So I tried going inside the house. When I opened the door, there wasn't any oxygen inside the house. So once the door opened and the oxygen went in, it was a short circuit on the fridge. That's what caused the fire and all the smoke. So once the oxygen hit that, it like sparked up, and like this big flame came out throughout the front door of the house. And it like burned my beard a little bit. So like it blew me back. So I got up, hit my beard, made the fire away, went inside, and kicked open the door though first. All that smoke was coming out. Meanwhile, oxygen going in, smoke coming out. So it's like this weird thing. And like I saw that, so I just immediately got down and like took a deep breath and went in and tried looking for them. There was like sheetrock falling, insulation falling. Beans were like exploding. It was crazy. Smelled like burnt beans. I was like, God damn. But at the time, all that chaos, so much adrenaline, I'm not even like thinking about that, but I remember all that though, and that smell. And so I go inside 3 times. I go in and out 3 times. And I started coughing. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I run back downstairs. This is probably like 7:30. Ambulance and the fire trucks got there within like minutes. And hours later, they finally put the fire out. And Beam, they brought Beamer out in a bag. He was all burnt up. He definitely died intoxicated with the smoke. He was underneath the bed, scared. Yeah, so that was tough. So the next day was more of a relief. It was tough, but it was more of a relief because I went inside the house to see if I could salvage anything valuable or meaningful. And the only thing meaningful other than Beamer was there was like a, how do you want to say, like a drawer, pretty tall drawer, but it's not really a drawer. It's like, you can put like pictures and stuff like that and like plants. And my mom had one, big one. It's like a stand kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but, and, has a bunch of shelves and had all my pictures from soccer and my medals that I won from first and second place. And like, my plaques from high school, some of my certificates and plaques from college. And me, I was just like, that was one the first reaction. I was like walking in, I was like, I gotta go look for that. And my cleats from when I was younger, just some valuable stuff, sentimental stuff. And in the middle of that, I remember that there used to be a Bible, this Bible. And as you can tell, it's burnt up throughout the side and on the pages here. You can tell. And it was open to Psalms 22. And in the middle of the ashes, and I could see like the ribbon, so I went to go grab like one of the ribbons from the medals, and it was like just the end of one, and I was like, wow, like nothing, I can't salvage anything. But I didn't realize in the middle of the ashes, on top, like underneath the ashes, this Bible was open like this. And like I immediately like grabbed it, and I was just amazed and like surprised how like everything else burnt, the whole drawer burnt, my pictures burnt, the frames melted, like of the pictures, like the metal burnt, like all these things burnt, but this Bible didn't burn. Like it just, I couldn't. So immediately, like my reaction was just like get on my knees and start praying, and I just started crying right there and then. And I knew that there was a purpose for me. I'm not trying to get religious with anyone. I'm Christian. I was born and raised in a Baptist church. My mom's Catholic, my dad's Christian. I was always raised in around the Word of God, but I'm not trying to preach religion on anyone. I'm just explaining my experience. And immediately I changed my point of view. I was like, hey, like everything's gonna be okay. And I didn't lose my faith after I found that Bible. I lost material things. I lost a puppy. But that could have been me inside the house. That day, before I got home, because I got home at 4:30 that day, that Thursday, and I didn't want. I had to go do a side job installing air conditioning. I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay home and take a nap on the couch and just chill with the dog. Make something to eat after, take a shower, play some video games. But I was so exhausted that day. I was like, but I gotta go. I gotta go do the side job. I just gotta finish this job. And I think about it, it was like, hey man, what if I just took the nap and then like woke up like choking, intoxicated, or maybe not have woken up. So, I'm grateful for that experience. Since then, God has given me everything in triple, quadruple, you name it. I am so grateful for that experience. It matured me, made me really try to find myself. And, everything happens for a reason. I believe that, when one door closes, another door will open. At the time, it took me a while to understand that, but I wanted to like blame something, but a lot of the times I would have to always remind myself like everything's going to be okay. There's a right time for everything. God knows God has a plan for you. So with that being said, I stopped going to school. A year later, house burnt down. Then I thought I needed a change. I was like, hey man, change jobs, go do something else in the trades. Started doing carpentry. From 2016, started doing carpentry until the end of 2019, going into 2020, right before the pandemic. I did carpentry. And the reason why I stopped doing carpentry is because I didn't feel like I was growing enough in the company that I was at. And, I was like, do I really want to be working for someone for the rest of my life? You know what I mean? Like, my parents came here to give me a better life, and now I'm a carpenter. And not that a carpentry is a bad job. I love carpentry. I love the trades. I'm all about it. I honestly love seeing a house being built from zero until putting up the last shingle. I love it. I'm all about carpentry, but it wasn't really. I didn't feel. I felt like I was supposed to do something else. So I was like, man, parents came here to give you a better life. Why don't you try to apply for a desk job? Just try it out. Try it one time. So I applied a couple places, and luckily a good friend of mine in Dressa was like, hey, Rod, I have, like, you're perfect for community services. Why don't you apply there? You know everyone in the community, or a lot of people know who you are, and you speak two languages, and the pay is decent. It's okay. But, once you're here, maybe you just try it out. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll try it. So when she said community services, I thought it was like, picking up trash on the side of the road, like doing, I don't know, working for the town or something like that. I thought that's what it was. So I applied, I got the job. I finally realized that it was not that was not the job description. It was totally different. And it's what I do today. It's, connecting families to resources, and, trying to really be a point of reference in case, for families that need to be contacted to resources or referred to places. So I love my job. I have the best boss ever, and I think I couldn't be happier. So I learned a lot throughout these couple of years, and when I joined the community services, I had the pandemic happen, so I kind of had to like teach myself a lot of the things that I do now. We were all working remotely at one point, and like I had like no experience, so it took me a little while to get used to the whole, shebang. But yeah, since then I went and got a beautiful German Shepherd. I thought it was time to get another dog. It's been I got him in the beginning of 2020, at the end of 2019, right when I got the job. I got Astro, and he's 3 years old. He's a good boy, and yeah, and I do my soccer trainings every summer. And so if you have a child that wants to, be involved in soccer and wants to do soccer, please reach out to me. Willing to do trainings and sessions. And yeah, man, there's not much about me. I'm happy, all the time. I'm very grateful. I feel like I'm a funny guy. I don't know, but I always in a good mood. Just wanted to point out a couple things that's here. This is kind of my personality, my childhood, like who I am. I'm a really big into video games, as you can see, and like this was my first actual video game, a Nintendo 64. And my first Pokemon games, Pokemon, Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, and like Need for Speed, like Hot Wheels and stuff like that. Like I was always into those things. When I was a kid, and like I'm a big like Avenger, you know, Marvel, I'm really into those type of things. I'm like a little nerd, and I have no shame about it because that's just who I am, and I'm proud of it. So, I'm really into cars. I like Mercedes and BMWs and those type of like fast cars. And yeah, man, that's me. I don't have try to sum it up. I didn't really want to make a too long of a video, but if you are watching, thank you again. Please hit and subscribe, that button there on YouTube, and like our video, please, and follow us on Instagram, the Vineyard Podcast. Actually, it's the Vineyard PC, but the name of it's the Vineyard Podcast. And you can find us on Spotify as well under the Vineyard Podcast, and on YouTube. So please follow us. Let us know what you think of our first video here. And if you have anyone you want me to interview, please feel free, reach out. I'm open to ideas. And thank you for supporting the channel, and I hope you like this type of content, and hopefully next week we'll have a new video for you guys. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.